Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Counter, and this is Phonics First, Layer 1, Lesson 8, the 3-part drill. For this lesson, you are going to need something to write on, something that you can feel would be best, like a piece of sandpaper that you can touch and feel. Sometimes I use a baggie filled with paint that I've sealed very well. If you don't have anything that you could feel, like a tray with some sugar in it or some salt in it, you can just use your hand and your finger, okay? But that's something that you'll need for this lesson. You will also need a little piece of paper with an O and an A, okay? So get those things for this lesson and then we'll begin. All right, we're going to review some of the sounds that we've learned before. When I hold up the letter sound, when I hold up the letter, I'd like you to say the sound with me, okay? D. G. T. M. A. Ah. Very good. Now I need you to get your paint baggie or your sandpaper or your tray with sugar or salt in it, or just use your hand. I'm going to say some sounds, and I'd like for you to write the letter that makes that sound on your paint baggie or your sandpaper or your hand. Write the letter that makes that sound and then underline it and say the sound. Like this. If I say D, you're going to write it and say D and underline it and say the sound D. So if I say D, you're going to go D, D. Okay? Here is your first sound. Make the letter that says A. Write it. A. Good. Make the letter that says M. Okay. Make the letter that says G. 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 Make the letter that says Ah. O. Ah. Very good. Please make the letter that says K. K. C. K. Good job, boys and girls. Now, let's look at these letters again that we reviewed. We're going to do some blending. When I point to a letter, I'd like you to say the letter's sound, and I want you to point with me. Okay, so get your finger ready, and we're going to point and say the sound, and then we'll blend it to make a word. Not a real word. Sometimes a real word, but sometimes not a real word. All right, get your finger ready. Say the sounds. K, ah, calm. Good. Let's try this. D, dumb. D, t, dot. Let's try this one. D, ag, dag. How about this one? D, dog. Okay, one more. Let's try this one. K, cog. Very good. Now you will need the little pieces of paper that have the O and the A written on them. And I'd like for you to put those down on the table or a surface in front of you. I'm going to say one of the sounds, either ah or ah, and you're going to point to the letter that makes that sound. Let's review. O says ah as in octopus. O says ah. A says ah as in apple. A says ah. I'll say a sound, and I want you to point to the letter that makes that sound. I will hold up one of these, and you can check and see if you were right. First sound, ah. Point to the letter that says ah. This was the correct one. O says ah. Point to the letter that says this. Ah. A says ah. All right. Point to the letter that says ah. This one. Point to the letter that says ah. This one. Okay, now I'm going to say a word part, and I want you to point to the letter that you hear in the word part. Okay, the first one is ought. Ought. Which one did you hear? It was O, ah. Here's another word part. Ab. Ab. Which letter did you hear? A. The next one. Try this one. Og. Og. Point to the letter you hear. You should have pointed to O. O says ah, like an og. Next one. Ok. Ok. Which one did you point to? Should have pointed to the O. O says ah. And this is our last one. Point to the letter that you hear in av. Av. You should have pointed to the A. A says ah.